Hello and welcome to Monday Night Live. It's Yvonne Shepherd here. I'm the founder and CEO of Women's Fitness Adventures, coming to you live for our 9th year now. Today happens to be Easter Monday here in Australia and a public holiday for most people. So if you work today, well done you supporting the rest of us. If you had the day off and the last couple of days off, I hope that you've had a wonderful time. I've heard lots of reports of the Easter Bunny being very successfully delivering eggs to people's houses and overeating at that. But if you can't do it at Easter, then when can you do it? So if you're joining me live, Heather is there already. Hi, Heather. You must be heading off on your adventure pretty soon as well. If you're watching me live, please go ahead and drop your name in there and where you're watching from. I can't see you. So if you're still in your Easter pajamas or not, that's okay. I can't see you unless you say your name. I don't even know who you are, who watching. And I do know that, we do have people who have stalked us for many, many years. And sometimes you show your faces and sometimes you don't, or not your faces, your names. And it would be really lovely to know if you've been following us for a while. And hi, Rosalind, as well. Seems like Victoria's got the lead tonight. So you might look at the background behind me and see that it's a little bit different to other weeks. I've spent 2 days of Easter cleaning out my office, and the background will be changing again, but I have a shiny office and all of those things that I thought were lost have now been found again. So that is a great thing. Some hiking gear that I have had securely stored somewhere for a couple of years has finally showed up. So pretty excited about that. Hi, Michelle from Queensland, and hi, Carolyn from Newcastle as well. And hi, Janet from Sydney. So lovely to have you here with us. I've been doing a bit of again, fielding questions over the last couple of weeks. And when I talk to people, they all have I'm not sure if I can say this on Facebook, the oh shit moment, when they book into a hiking adventure, whether one of ours or not. And then they have what we term in marketing as buyer's remorse, or, oh my gosh, what have I done? And how am I going to do this? And hi, Annette, how are you? And I've fielded a lot of questions over the past week. We've had our Couch to Mountain applications, still taking those for this year's program. And we sent out some applications or sent out some offers. And we had some people come back and go, oh, shit, what have I done? And then the overwhelm starts to sink in. And I want to address that tonight because we can all have that oh dear, I'm going to call it oh dear moment. Oh my gosh, what have I done? And that gulp, and then we start to second guess ourselves. And that comes down to a lot of hikers' mindset, but it also comes down to knowing what questions to ask in the beginning so that you don't have that moment happen to you. So I know there's quite a few of you watching here, and I can see those lovely people who have said hello. But if you're watching and there's a lot of you I can see, just some eyeballs there, please go ahead and drop your name and say hi and where you're watching from as well. But those oh my gosh, what have I done moments really come because we haven't identified or matched where we're at with where we want to go, and done enough in our own head about mapping those two things together, because anything is possible. I always believe that if you put your mind to it. And I liken the analogy to my garden. So we have been in our current house for 4 years now. And at the beginning of those 4 years, I planted some very, very small trees. And I have taken photos every year of those trees. And all those trees needed was time and the right environment. And in the right environment, they thrived. And that's exactly the same thing with when we want to go on a walking or hiking holiday, is finding the right environment, knowing the questions to ask or the planting conditions, and what will make that adventure come to life, and what will make that adventure shrink in your mind to the point where you start to second guess yourself and you start to have those moments of self-doubt. So the type of questions that I would ask to avoid that oh gosh, what have I done moment, where do I really want to go? And this can be for a day hike, this can be for a multi-day hike. Hi Tracy, hi Meg, hi Mary, hi Sharon, hi Nina, close by Nina. Where do I really want to go? What type of walking or hiking holiday do I want to have? And should I do this independently or should I do it with a company? And if you can grab grasp the answers, your own answers, not somebody else's, to those questions, then you will have matched up your type of hiking or walking holiday to give you the best outcome before you even start to leave home, because then you'll avoid that, oh my gosh, what have I done moment. And sometimes that, oh my gosh, what have I done, is a good thing, in that it's always good to have something a little bit scary and something a little bit on the edge. But if you've made the big leap into something, and I see this all the time, I hear this all the time, I really want to, but I don't know how, or can you help me? I've booked into something not to do with us and I don't know where to start. Oh gosh, I've got something in 3 months' time, and am I going to be fit enough? How do I get fit enough? And should I just pull out? And hi, Kim, lovely to have you here from the Scenic Room as well. So, the first question is, where do I really want to go? And if you make sure that and we're doing this in our Adventure Ready for Hiking course, and Caroline, I know you're watching tonight. We did this in our very beginning, is making sure that where you want to go is where you're currently at, or where you're prepared to train to go to. And all of these resources, of course, are available for our adventure crew inside Women's Fitness Adventures. But, have you identified if you're a warm climate or a cold climate person? Because if you, are a cold frog and decide, and live where it's warm, and decide that you're going to go to, Iceland on a holiday and hate the cold, then automatically you've set yourself up for one of those barriers or another hurdle that's going to be difficult to jump over. How will you travel there? If you have a real fear of flying, yet you've booked something that's on the other side of the world, you've automatically got another hurdle put in front of yourself that you need to get over. Are you looking for isolation? If you're looking for isolation, can you be self-sufficient? Or are you looking for an iconic trail or an iconic location? And if you are you prepared to put up with the crowds? And I know for our members this week, we have a masterclass on the new rules of travel. And I know, having traveled a lot in the last 12 months, that travel is very different to what it was pre, the pandemic. And it is a little bit more challenging in some ways. In some other ways, it's easier, but a little bit more challenging. But there are more and more people traveling. There are volumes of people out there. Even though we're not quite at the pre-pandemic levels, there seems to be a lot more people traveling out there. So when we think about an iconic trail, are we prepared to put up with the crowds as well? And hi, Leanne, speaking of iconic trails. And again, if you're watching, please say hello. If you have any questions or comments, please comment along as well. And are you going purely for, if you're thinking about that walking or hiking holiday, are you going purely for hiking, or are you going sightseeing as well? Or are you tacking all of that onto something else? Because getting these questions right will start to take away those hurdles of, oh my gosh, I've booked into something and it feels so overwhelming and I don't know where to start and I don't know what to take and I don't know how to train and I don't know this and I don't know that, to the point where you go, it's all just too hard, I want my money back. And you can't, because you haven't thought that through either. So if we can get clear on this before we start, it makes a huge difference to the success and outcome that you're going to have. And what about accommodation? Do you want luxury? Do you want basic? Is where you're going, which is the iconic thing that you might have chosen for yourself, go to match up with the availability of the type of accommodation that you want? Because if your expectations, and if you haven't done enough research or got enough knowledge, if your expectations don't match what you think, then automatically, or what happens, you're setting yourself up for, just this disappointment would be the big word there. And then what about personal hygiene? Because I know for a lot of people that going a day without a shower is not an option. But some of the most iconic trails, I know there's a lot of people who talk to me about wanting to hike Kokoda in New Guinea, and it's back open again. And my most favourite adventure partner in the world is heading back there this Thursday for the first time in 4 years. He'll be back there, and he's the only person, if anyone wants to do Kokoda, that I would ever suggest you go with. But having done that trail twice, you literally do not have, well, you might have one cold shower or a swim in the creek in the week, the 7-9 days, or however long that takes you. But if that's the iconic trail that you want, but you're looking for luxury, or you're looking for hygiene, or you're looking for privacy, then perhaps that's not the type of adventure for you. Because we can all think and think that that location's ideal, that I dream of doing that and want to be in that position of falling in love with the idea of a hiking holiday. But we don't fall in love with the actual doing the training, doing the research, doing the preparation, understanding the gear, understanding the packing list. So if we can get all those things right in our head, in our mind, on paper, it makes such a huge difference to the success that you are going to have, the good time that you're going to have when you get on that adventure. Now, no one's got any comments yet, so I'm assuming I'm talking to you, with you, and if anyone has anything to the contrary. But, finding out what your fitness level is and matching your walking or hiking holiday to that, or matching what you plan your fitness is going to be. You're captivated. Thank you, Kim. You're very sweet. If you and I've seen this happen, if you book into a challenging hike and you think that you're going to, you're not at that level of fitness and you think that you're going to train, there are very few people, if there's no accountability, who will actually train. There's always tomorrow. There's always tomorrow to train. And once tomorrow comes, then there's always tomorrow. And then all of a sudden your hike is 2 weeks away. You haven't trained. You get on the trail. You hate every minute because you're dragging your feet into camp or into lodging, thinking, do I have to do all of that over and over again? So it's really important to understand what your hiking or fitness level is for the type of adventure that you want to do. And, as I keep saying, anyone can do any adventure. You just have to know these questions, know the answers to them, where you fit in that scheme, and then making sure that, if you're going to give yourself a beautiful, wonderful stretch goal, which I absolutely believe in, then making sure that you've got someone that will hold you accountable to those stretch goals, and having, I guess, that team around you that supports you is really, really important. But another reason, other than dragging yourself into, your accommodation and missing out on the post-hiking day camaraderie that happens, which is just fantastic. Some of those unplanned moments are, I've had many sitting on the bench at Porsmork in, under the glaciers in Iceland, where we were meant to be getting our token for the shower, and we actually found that they sold small bottles of champagne. Or, where were we? Just hiking in remotely in the bungles and getting back to camp and just lying there at the end of the night looking up at the stars that no one else in the world could see from that position we're in. I'll come back to that one, Kim. I love your question. But the other thing is that if you book into an adventure that is a different fitness level to you, I hear all the time from women is, I don't want to be last. I don't want to be the one that everybody waits for, that is holding everybody up. And, it's important to have that stretch goal. I'll come back to that, Kim. But it's also important to be realistic about what you can fit in. And, I would suggest that if you've never done any fitness or any hiking, you wouldn't go for the most extreme unless you've got a really long lead time and a really great support around you. But just to take it to the next level. So incremental baby steps, one at a time. And that can be a multi-day hike, or that can be a day hike as well. Francis says, hi Francis, a summer hike in the Blue Mountains a few years ago shocked me into reality. It taught me to train. Yeah, and someone said to me the other day about training, because at Inside Women's Fitness Adventures in our crew, we do give training plans for all of our adventures, and our Pyrenees group will be getting their training plan very soon, which is in September this year, is that if you are training regularly, and whatever regularly means to you, doing something consistently over time will get you results. Stepping into a hiking training plan isn't meaning that you're taking on a second job. It shouldn't mean that you're taking on a second job. It should just be something that you enjoy doing. And that's the other thing to consider, is that, you know, if you ask yourself the question, I want to go on a multi-day hiking or walking holiday, you know, ask yourself the question, am I prepared to put in the training? And if it's not a heck yes, then perhaps you should tone down the type of adventure that you want to do. And, you know, if you are setting yourself up for a challenging adventure, you know, something that's really quite difficult. So I would say maybe a Kokoda, maybe the overland track in Tasmania, which, you know, when we did it in winter with a full pack in the snow, was probably one of the most challenging hikes that I have done, is that making sure that you've got that right group of support to go with. Because if you're slogging it out day after day and you're exhausted, what you want to make sure is that team that you've got around you are people who are going to talk to you, people who are going to encourage you to get along, and not, you know, not everyone's out for themselves. And I see this inside our with our members, our crew, is that when we sign on to something, in the beginning, it's about me, the individual, but over time it shifts to being about the support of the team and making sure that the whole team gets through, which is such a wonderful thing. So if you're looking at a multi-day hiking or walking holiday, think about the team as well. Think about who it is that you're going with, that group. Are they going to talk to you? Are you going to have the same conversations? Because it's not just about the hike. It's not just about the trail that you're on. It's about the whole entire experience of who you're with that makes such a difference, and who you're with in the lead up to, who you're with on, and who you're with afterwards. And I went on an absolutely amazing summer holiday with my husband, and we didn't know anyone, and we had a great, you know, we were trying to find out who was on our holiday before we went, but it wasn't until we got on the trip that we found the people. But you know what? We don't keep in contact with any of those people. We've got some emails, but there's really no one on, you know, the boat part of what we did that we would keep in contact, even though we shared some very, very unbelievable, life-changing experiences in moments that can't ever be captured again. And I'd like to relive it with them. That didn't happen because we didn't have a shared experience leading into it. So that is really, really important as well, is that the people, do you have enough in common with the people that you're going with, or is it just solely and purely about the trail? So there's another question to ask. But the other question is, should you go with a group of friends? So if you ask these questions before you book onto something, it will guarantee that you're going to have, you know, the best time ever. So your questions are, where do I want to go? So all those questions around the climate, the location, the crowds, the type of accommodation, your personal hygiene, where do I want to go? What is my fitness level for where I want to go? And then should I go independently or should I go with a group? But I'm just going to circle back to, and hi Alethea, to Kim's stretch goals. What are those? So a stretch goal is setting yourself, in terms of the hiking, I'll talk about it in hiking context, setting yourself a goal that's a little bit beyond what you think you can do. So if you are currently, you know, you've done some hiking and, you know, you love it, and your stretch goal might be that you're going to do, and you've hiked for 2 or 3 days in a row, your stretch goal might be that you're going to go on a 5 to 7 day hiking adventure, you know, somewhere far from home that you need to travel for, and that you need to walk, you know, on average 12 kilometers a day. So it's just putting yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone, stretching yourself enough that you are not like an elastic band and going to ricochet back, but enough that you're going to stretch yourself and get to that next level of fitness. And we always say on our adventures that by about day 3, you've walked into a new level of fitness. Day 2 sometimes is a little bit of a, oh my gosh, what have I done? But by day 3, you're just walking into that next level of fitness. But the other question to ask is, should I go with a group of friends or solo, or should I do this independently, or should I do this with an organized company? And, you know, this is a really valid question, because if you look at all the different options there, when you have the skills the hiking skills and knowledge and understand, about your fitness, about safety, about gear and equipment, there's lots and lots of things that you can do with yourself or group of friends. But with a group of friends, someone needs to be responsible. Someone needs to organize the training and the locations and the meeting point and stuff like that, and what happens, and the payments, and what happens if someone pulls out. But if you're an organizer, then that's great. If you aren't, then, and you're relying on someone else, then there's some questions there to ask. Because remember, the experience of a hiking or walking holiday doesn't start, well, it starts as soon as you think about it. As soon as you start thinking about it, you should be really enjoying that whole experience, not, oh my gosh, we're supposed to be going in 4 months and no one's done anything about it. Are we still going? Because that doesn't help the mindset and it doesn't help the motivation either. Are my friends happy to train? If I was to suggest to my friends, let's go hiking here, would they train? Would they be fit enough? And if they're not, what happens when we get out on the trail and 2 out of the 4 are fast or faster than the other 2? What happens then? So lots of questions. Have we got all the gear? What happens in an emergency? Who's responsible if something happens or there's an injury or someone has a slip? Do we need permits for where we're going? All of those, there's lots and lots of questions. I'm just really touching the surface. And Kim, hopefully I answered your stretch goals question. Or the other question is, should I choose a company? And there are lots and lots of companies out there for you to choose from. Do you want all female? Do you want a mixed group? Do you want your age? Do you want, a mixture of ages? Do you want cheap? Do you want or inexpensive? There's difference between cheap and inexpensive. Do you want luxury? Do you want high end? Do you want middle of the road? How do you determine the difference? You can go to base camp and you can pay, $2,000 or you can pay $20,000. How do you know the difference? How do you know the value? What are the questions that you need to ask to make sure that you're not being ripped off, that you are being looked after? Do they have the permits? Do they have the insurance? What's included? What happens if I need to share accommodation? So there's so many questions to ask. And, what if, it all looks good on paper, A versus B. B looks exactly the same, but it's, cheaper. I'm going to go with B. And then you find out that B doesn't have everything, or it's got different levels of accommodation, or it doesn't have the right values or ethos that matches you as well. So all of these questions, if you can, take that time in the beginning to do a little bit of research, will ensure that you've eliminated all that stuff that, those little things can make such a big difference when you get out on an adventure if it doesn't match what you expected it would be. So let me just check in here. Alethea says, I'm looking forward to a women's fitness adventure that advises the training needed. Yep. My one in Tassie, I had no idea what was required, and probably a little bit more than I expected. Yeah, and different companies do it very differently. And I guess that's all about the journey as well. And, some organizations have people from all over the world coming into their different adventures, and others, such as ours, are all about the community and the friendship and the support from day one for that adventure. So you have that lived, shared experience, creating those priceless memories. So it's really hard to, I can't tell you which one works for you, but I can tell you and advise you on those questions to ask, because I think that's really, really important. Because our goal here at Women's Fitness Adventures is to make everyone who enters our world adventure ready for hiking. Because if we can teach you to hike and teach you to safely hike and teach you the skills and the knowledge to build your body so that you have the right muscles to recruit, that you have the right gear, that you know what to do should something go wrong, you know how to read a trail and understand a trail, then you can take on any trail in the world. You can take on the trails with us, but you can take on any trail in the world. And if we can make you adventure ready for hiking, then we've done our job. Because here's some examples of what happens when we get those questions wrong, is that you misjudge the location and you realize nothing is open. So imagine getting to somewhere where you've thought of, you've wanted to go for a long time, and you realize that the transport isn't open, especially these times. As I said, we've got the new rules of travel for our masterclass on Wednesday night inside our Women's Fitness Adventures community. And, you know, with the pandemic, it's changed a lot of things, and there's not a lot of staff globally. I don't know where they've all gone. And things are open or randomly open or open on 2 days of a week and stuff like that. But imagine getting to your destination and finding that something's not open, or there's no workaround, or the group that you're with, you know, nobody can agree that they want to stay and change the itinerary, or, you know, and be able to go to that destination on that day. Or that the stores you are due to go to pick up your supplies aren't open, you know, or they haven't got them in store, or the roads have been closed for landslides or repair work, and there's no workaround. Or you choose a winter hike because that's your, you know, holiday season, but realize that everything has shut down. For example, the Cinque Terre in Italy, which is one of our favorite destinations, and we're off there for our 5th time this coming June. In winter, their winter, a lot of the stores close up. They, you know, it's too cool for them, so they head off to other places. So if you go to the Cinque Terre, yes, it's beautiful whatever time of year, but they experience that richness of an Italian summer, where you can stroll along the promenade there at Monte Rosso, or sit up, up on the cliff top at Corniglia and eat your gelato or your cappuccino, or your chocolate croissant, and look out over that Mediterranean. That experience isn't there if you're in there in the wrong season. But all you need to do is take 1, 2, 3 steps back and ask these questions before you go. Even if you're not going on a walking or hiking holiday, if you're going on any holiday, you should still be asking these 3 questions, because Adventure Ready is all about, you know, being open for something, to something that is not in your normal wheelhouse. But, you know, again, you know, choosing the right adventure for your fitness level is, you know, choosing a hiking holiday that's too easy for you, and you end up getting frustrated because you are impatiently waiting for everybody else, you know, come on, hurry up, why are they so slow? Or if you choose one that's too hard, you could possibly risk injury, or you're so much hurrying trying to catch up that you just drag yourself exhausted into camp, or, you know, you just dread getting up the next morning going, oh, do I have to do that whole thing all over and over again? But, you know, also choosing the wrong provider. As I said, there's so many providers out there, and I really encourage you to ask lots of questions of the providers. And, you know, we don't know what we don't know. And I was looking to buy something new the other day, a big purchase, and of a long wait time now. And I said to them, look, I'm going to ask these questions. This is not something I do very often. This is not a purchase I make very often. I don't know enough about the things you're telling me, so I'm going to ask you all of these questions. And I think that that's really, really important, you know, having, making sure that your whoever you're going with has public liability insurance, you know, that they have permission to be in those national parks all over the world. I know Nepal has just made it mandatory that you cannot go on a hike there without a local guide, because too many people go missing. But, you know, also in Nepal, the difference between a low price and a high price provider is the pace that you go at. Not so much each day, how far you go, but how long it takes you to go in elevation, because taking less days to do more elevation will actually result in altitude sickness. So you might think it's, you know, cheaper to do it with company A because they do it over 5 days and company B does it over 9. But company A might only have a 60% success rate and company B has a 90% success rate because they've taken it slower to adjust for altitude. But also imagine that you choose the wrong group to do it with. So the provider looks great, but they may only take 18 to 25-year-olds. You know, it'd be like me getting on a Contiki bus. Gosh, think about that. And going through Europe right now. And, you know, just the wrong people. I wouldn't know what to talk. They'd think they were talking to their mother every night, and who on a Kontiki tour of the world would want to talk to their mother every night? So, making sure that the group you're with is not only great for your conversation and your sense of belonging and connectedness, because it's the connectedness on the trail that gives you the motivation and the support and the commitment to keep going every day on the trail. And sometimes days on the trail can be harder than others. But also that, a group doesn't necessarily put the same priority on your safety as what you do. So, a bunch of younger people may be more daring, may want to go more near the edges of cliffs, heaven forbid, than what you do. And that makes you, well, it certainly makes me nervy every single time, someone goes too close to the edge, and it's like, stand back. So, just those sort of questions are the make or break questions. And you can read the reviews. I would suggest everybody reads reviews as well, but just ask questions. If things resonate with you, then move a little bit closer to that group. And if things don't resonate with you, then move further away. And the more you do that, the more you'll start to narrow down the type of group that you want to go with. So let me check in there. Kim, great. I'm glad you're enjoying our comments tonight. Thank you, the conversation. Marianne, hi. Looking forward to hiking with you. Not too long now in June on the Great Ocean Road. And Francis, I always feel so safe and prepared with women's fitness adventures. I love the professionalism. Oh, Francis, you're so sweet. You're heading off on our Dolomites adventure very soon as well. And of course, we're heading off on our Germany hike in a couple of weeks. And I'm very, very excited about that. But I do hope tonight I've shared with you the questions that, there's lots more questions I get asked. And over the next coming weeks, I'll start to delve into these questions around feet and gear and clothing, because these are all the questions I've been asked. But, our goal here at Women's Fitness Adventures is to make you adventure ready. I know there's a lot of our community on here tonight who are adventure ready through all the things that we offer and continue to offer. But for anyone else out there who's not a member or part of our community who's watching, the goal is to make you adventure ready. And there is our guide that you can get off our website that gives you these questions that I went over tonight, so that you can ask yourself to be adventure ready. Of course, just switching gears now, it is Easter Monday, so I hope everyone has had a long weekend. Today marks 12 years since my wonderful mother. You're more adventure keen at this point, Kim. Yep. And Heather says getting adventure ready is part of the fun. Yeah, it absolutely is. And adventure keen and adventure ready, we all need to start somewhere with our awareness of where we want to, where we want to dip our toe in or not, and whether we do or not is entirely a personal thing. But certainly making sure, I think I've used this before when I started, I did some cross-country skiing as a kid, but then in my early 20s, my friends, when I lived in Sydney, said, let's go skiing, took me down some black runs, and I never wanted to ski again till 4 years ago. And it was because I was terrified. I went in too far, too fast, too hard, and I didn't know any better to ask the questions. So the time when we went skiing 4 years ago, I actually asked a lot of questions. I sought professional help. I got private lessons every day. I started at the beginning. I really knew what I wanted to ask, where I wanted to be, and how to do it safely. And it's no different to hiking. And as you say, Heather, getting adventure ready is part of the fun. But I want to end on this note of, and I saw this beautiful acronym the other day, and I'm not sure, it was on LinkedIn from a lady called Bronwyn White, but I'm not sure if Bronwyn's watching, if it was her original one or if it came from someone else. And we all know the acronym FOMO, the fear of missing out. But this one was YOLO, you only live once. And today marks the 12th anniversary since my wonderful mother passed away. And my father would be 87 tomorrow if he was alive, but he's been gone for 3 years now as well. And I think back to how quickly those 12 years and those 3 years have gone, and all the things that have happened. Women's Fitness Adventures started 9 years ago, almost to the day, 9 years ago next month, in those 12 years. But just how quickly everything goes, and how 4 of those years, well, 3 of those years were in a pandemic, and that we only have the opportunity, we only have the time that's in front of us now. So, make the most of every single day. Time does go so quickly, and you do only live once. And whether that means, you wake up 10 minutes earlier and go for an early morning walk and embrace the beautiful sunrise, or whether that means you take 20 minutes off, leave work 20 minutes earlier and go and visit friends on the way home. Those opportunities to live all of those experiences are there, and we have to make the most of them. There'll always be something more of a priority. There'll always be someone that needs nurturing. There'll always be something on our list, but we don't get second chances. And I think that is something really important. But you don't get second chances with, you just read a book that said, I think it said that. So true. Kids are leaving home. Yeah, mine too, Kim. They're 21. I've got a 21st next, this coming Saturday night. So I will let you know that. YOLO it is. I'll write it in here. YOLO. You only, I've got to write it properly. You only live once. And no matter what it is, it doesn't have to be that big, out there, scary, multi-day hiking adventure. Just, the time we've spent here is time that won't come again. So just make the most of it. Live as if you were going to die tomorrow. Now, Alethea, I've thought about that. And that's a really scary thought, because, I've had some tests lately and everything's okay. But when you have those tests and you think the worst, and you think, well, what if I did only have limited time left? What would I do? And so, yeah, it's a scary thing. So live as if time is not forever. And I don't think we actually, or anyone appreciates that till it's almost too late. It is depressing. But you only live once. And if we think of it that way, make each moment count. So, say those wonderful comments to the person that you meant to say them to. Take that morning sunrise and a cup of tea. Do that thing that you've always been thinking of doing. We don't have to do it all at once, but if we take one little step at a time into doing something that we've always wanted to do, then, we're making the most of every moment that we have. And that's not depressing at all. So, just embrace all the wonderful little moments, and that we're here and we're healthy and we're happy and we're smiling, and we may have eaten a few little extra Easter eggs, but that's okay. Glad that some of you have enjoyed it. And I did see this beautiful little thing. Let me just find it. I'm just going to disappear for 1 second. Here I am. I'm back. The book is called The Joy of Not Working, which is really good. So I am retiring. Well, this is written by a 5-year-old, and I found this when I was cleaning up my office. I've had it for a long time. And it says, "You Can't Rewind Life" by Cameron Curtis, and he's 5 years old. Now, how maybe it was in the era of VHS. I don't know. But yeah, I think that's really important. You can't rewind life, or you only live once. So that's it from me. Happy Easter Monday. Thank you for joining me tonight. I will be back. No, I won't be back. Oh, maybe. My daughter is graduating she's already working, but got a graduation thing at university next Monday night. So I may be should be on at 5. So I will bookmark this anyway, and hopefully catch up with you next week. Thanks for your time. Remember, you only live once, and I will catch up with you next time. Thanks. Bye.